and I am the new professional development coordinator, and I'm taking over for Maria Anderson. So if you haven't heard my voice before, or if you were expecting Maria, well, I guess I'm a little bit different than what you were expecting today. And this presentation is about resources and strategies for online tools, and it's being sponsored by the ITLC committee of AMATYC. So here's a brief tour before we begin. At the top, you can actually see the menu where you can indicate your status, and you can also let the presenter Kathy know if you want to laugh or applaud, and make sure that you clear your status if you agree or disagree to any question that Kathy might ask along the way. That would greatly help us as well. And if you have any questions, if you could put it in the chat, I'll record it, or Kathy will turn on the microphone for you to ask your question live at the end. And if something is distracting to you, you can actually put the sticky note over that part of the screen, and that was one of Maria's great little tricks that I still think is a good idea. And just remember that if you want to comment, to maybe make sure that your participants list is set to either everyone or to just chat with the host or the presenter or any other specific attendee. And the poll will come up if Kathy has any set up. I think it actually is easier for us just to do the agree or disagree along the way, unless Kathy has something special planned for us. And just make sure that if you do use the raise your hand button, you use it sparingly, because we will have the 10-minute Q&A at the end. So if you need to leave the webinar, just make sure that you try to maybe use the step away status, and then that will let us know why you may be inactive if we're waiting for people to respond to a question or something like that. So just remember that this webinar is being recorded, and we'll turn it over to Kathy right now.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate you asking me to do this. John saw online my presentation about online tools, and he asked me if I would give that to you and then add a section dealing specifically with math. So I've done that. And I just realized, even though I watched his beginning part of his presentation before, that he meant a physical sticky note over the chat area. There's no sticky note ability within Adobe Connect. So, but thank you, John. In the interest of bandwidth, I'm going to shut off my camera, and I'll move a little picture of my head there, so in case you forget what I look like, and then I'll turn it back on during the Q&A section. So I'll see you in live in a little bit. So there's my little head in case you forget. Okay, so this presentation will focus on resources for online tools and also teaching strategies to use them effectively. I should probably say a little bit about myself. My name is Kathy Schrock. I'm a retired school district technology director, library media specialist, and education major by, I guess, education. I've been presenting. I've had a website for teachers since 1995, and was one of the first ones, so I became a little popular, so I present all over the world on ways to use technology to impact teaching and learning. So that's that. So the presentation will start with a model of teacher facilitation. We'll then touch on something that's currently popular. I'm not going to tell you good, bad, or otherwise, but it's currently popular, a model of teaching. And the bulk of the presentation will introduce you to many online tools. So the main strategy, no matter what your pedagogical teaching practice looks and feels like, is to remember that the teacher should be acting in the role of facilitator in the classroom. Harrison in 1998 created the SPACE model to outline the optimum conditions that a facilitator needs to ensure that facilitation will work. Self-affirmation: the learners need to view themselves as effective learners, and the teachers provide them with feedback to that effect. That the P stands for personal meaning. The learners are able to find personal meaning in the learning. That is, the learning is relevant to them somehow. You make that happen. Active learning: the learners are active in the learning, whether that activity is physically doing something or intellectually doing something, so they're challenged. Collaborative: the learners are able to collaborate with others in the learning process and not just to view learning as an isolating experience. And empowering: the learners are able to shape the learning process, to have control over what is learning and the direction of the learning. And this is, even though this was put out in 1998, this is truly pretty much state-of-the-art. So that's just one particular model that I came across that I liked. In the flipped classroom model, technology for teaching is not used in the classroom, but used before and after the lesson outside of the classroom. The basic premise is that the teacher creates online lectures that students view before they come to class, and the class time is used to embed that knowledge through exercises, coaching, discussion, and problem-based learning. Homework in this model is also flipped. Homework is done in the classroom during the application of the knowledge, and the teachers can focus on it during that time. Homework is in reality the pre-lectures or materials that the students view, or the practice that they did the night before. Aaron Sams and Jonathan Bergman taught actually in Woodland Park, Colorado, and were really the first to flip their classroom. Not quite sure that this teaching methodology is something new and special, but they were the first one to promote it and call it the flipped classroom. Let's watch a short video that Aaron put together explaining how it works. So I'm going to move the movie over here, make it bigger for you. We'll see.
I guess, as a teacher, is to help students become learners who can learn for themselves and by themselves. One of the problems that I was guilty of even prior to flipping my classroom around was the classroom was centered around me. I told them exactly what to learn, how to learn it, what assignments to do to learn it, and when to learn it, and how to prove to me that they learned it. I don't do that anymore. We changed the plates in which content is delivered. Instead of standing in front of a class and delivering, here's how you do this type of problem, here's how this works, I deliver that direct instruction now asynchronously at home through these videos that we make with Camtasia Studio.
Times till whole.
Oh, we didn't do that last time.
The last step, they were already whole numbers. We had 1, 1, and 4. Here we don't have a whole number. So here's a few little tricks when you need to multiply by whole numbers. If one of your numbers ends in 0.5, you're going to multiply by 2.
All right, something 0.5 times it by 2.
Right.
Okay, write this down, guys.
Yes. If something ends in 0.3 or 0.33 or 0.66, you multiply by 3.
And when the kids come to class, they don't show up to learn new stuff. They show up to apply the things that they learned at home and to ask me questions about the things they learned at home. So now they could have my lesson, if you will, what I would normally have stood up and lectured to them in class with some added features. They get that at home. And then what they were expected to do for homework is now what they do in my class. Life is different for me because I no longer am the guy who stands up in the front of the classroom and just yaks at a student for an hour or however long the class is. Now I walk around the class and I help kids. I'm a tutor, I'm a guide, I'm the putter-outer of fires, whatever it happens to be in my crazy chemistry class. I walk around and do that. I don't stand up front and teach under the kind of the traditional model. I'm Aaron Sams. I'm a teacher, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and I love Camtasia Studio.
Okay, so that was Aaron. Just get rid of this pod here. So Myron of Badenhorst provided a very well-done overview of the flipped classroom on her blog way back in 2010. She gave both the advantages and disadvantages of this type of teaching. Here are a few of her thoughts on the advantages of the flipped classroom. Creating online lessons ahead of time allows teachers to reflect on their instruction before they make it available for the students. I know that when I was a school library media specialist and I gave the same lesson 7 times in the week to all the 4th graders, the lesson, besides changing every time and being really good at the 7th time, I would also, during the lesson, often ask the students, did I tell you that already? So this way, in the flipped classroom, you're reflecting ahead of time and pretty much everybody's going to hear the same thing. Lesson only has to be delivered once. Students can download the lesson and carry it around with them if they so desire. You notice they did a picture-in-picture for their particular item, so it wasn't just somebody drawing, but it was also the ability to see their faces too, and that's quite easy to do technology-wise. And the classroom, this is the big part, the classroom becomes a place, more of a place for learning than just a place for teaching. Of course, people have reservations about this model also. Not all content lends itself to be delivered via video lessons. That's a given. So elementary school teachers especially are a little apprehensive because they'd be flipping every subject area, and that's a tough thing to do. There's a lot of prep work for that. This type of instruction might not suit the learning styles of all students. Sitting and watching a video and not being engaged is the same as sitting in class and watching a teacher and not being engaged. So there is that problem. Students need access to internet devices in school to review the information in case they need to watch it over. And to bridge the digital divide, some students will need access to internet devices in school to actually watch the video. So there's a big problem socioeconomically with sometimes the flipped classroom because not everybody has the access that they would need at home. The lesson length, in order to keep students engaged and make sure they get through the online lectures, have to be limited to 8 to 10 minutes, so 8 to 10 minute chunks of information. Digital divide is the haves and have-nots with technology at home. Whenever you ask a classroom full of students, especially high school students, if they have technology at home, they all raise their hand and say they do, but they might not be telling you that the important part is that they don't have internet access at home. They might have a computer, but can't afford the internet access. So, am I telling you that flipping your classroom is the way to teach? Not at all. But there are compelling reasons and successful stories of those who use this model of teaching, or even just use some components of it in their classroom. Many teachers are doing a blended model. Some teachers are actually doing the recording of the lesson while they're doing the lesson, which is, we're going to go through a bunch of tools that will help you do things like that. So with the teacher acting as a facilitator, and students using technology tools that enhance the active problem and project-based learning going on in the classroom, there are a whole host of online tools available. They're not all Web 2.0 tools. Web 2.0 is used a lot. There's only certain tools that are Web 2.0, but I will include a lot of what I call online utilities. I'm going to show you a couple in each category so you begin to think of ways to embed these in the learning process. In addition, with access to the same online tools in their digital toolbox, all students are on a level playing field. What a lot of schools do to bridge the digital divide is to make sure that there's access before and after school, and also lists are given out, because you can't post them if they don't have internet access, of where there are public computers. Okay, so let's talk about online video editors. So WeVideo is a cloud-based, and when I say cloud-based, it lives on the internet, a cloud-based, full-featured video editor. What makes this one different is the fact it is social. Others can upload media to the project and even edit it together. One can easily export the video or upload it to many video sharing sites. So this is a collaborative online video editor. Again, when we talk about kids that have and have not, they might not have iMovie if they have a Mac, or they might have an old version, or on Windows they have Movie Maker. By doing something in an online tool, as long as someone has internet access, everyone has the same project. So it works on any computer platform. So you don't have to worry about what they have at home as far as that goes. Creaza is another online video editor, but it's not collaborative. However, it includes a suite of tools for mind mapping, cartooning, and audio editing in addition to their video editor. So Creaza is a whole suite of tools that are very useful in the education space. Stroom is a relatively new video editor that allows you to collaborate with others to create the movie. So imagine students all contributing images and footage from a field trip or from a lesson, a project that they're doing in class, all to one place. In addition, with Stroom, any publicly uploaded video or images to Stroom can be used in your video. So you can make a mashup. So if you need a picture of a cowboy or a video of a cowboy riding a horse and someone else has already created that, you can grab their, as long as they've said it's public, you can grab their video clip and bring it into yours. These are all free. Sorry. I'll tell you if anything costs. So the YouTube that we all know and love also now has a video editor that allows you to edit your own videos into a new video, or anybody that's Creative Commons licensed their video, in other words, given you explicit permission to use it ahead of time, you can grab it, as long as it's on YouTube, you can grab it and mash it up within yours. Okay, let's go to online audio editors. I told you Creaza had a suite of tools. Whoops, sorry. Here is their full-featured audio editor. There are also many, many loops included, and students can upload their own creations into this that they've done in some other way, recorded some other way, and they can use create a podcast by using a mic also. So this, if you're familiar with GarageBand or any of the audio editors, this is a free online audio editor. This is Foundation. This is a new one also. As you can see on the right-hand side, you can't read it, neither can I, but that's a library of tools that are a library of audio clips that are available, and you can see all the different ways that students can put audio together. Okay, on to online image editors. So Pixlr is a full-featured image and photograph editor. You can see the full set of tools on the left-hand side, and it even has some very cool features, which are in some of the commercial products, like tooth whitening and creation of vintage photos built in. So it's sometimes hard to whiten teeth when you want to do that, and it's built right in. You just swipe over the teeth, and voila, they're all nice and white. And one thing about Pixlr that I use this with my graduate students is the students can easily add text to the images also. So would you be using these tools inside of Blackboard? Probably not. Some of them will play nicely with Blackboard, but Web 2.0 tools are not really intended to be in a walled garden. You would have a student work in the application outside of Blackboard and then upload their result into Blackboard. The Adobe Photoshop Express editor is primarily for editing photographs, but it also has a section where you can decorate your photos. You can see down at the bottom I put little hair and hats on those two girls, which one of them happens to be me, my first day of kindergarten. The student also gets 2 gigabytes of online storage space to house any images that they create. Sumo Paint is very full-featured also. It includes a vector-based curve drawing tool and a symmetry tool, which is really great when you want to do something, draw symmetrically, which often is used in math, as well as the layers present in some of the other tools. A layer-based image editor means you can have a picture and put another layer on top of it with something else on it and another layer on top of that. Rather than editing the original picture, you can put layers on to change it, and then if something goes wrong, you haven't spent a whole lot of work editing one photo. You might just get rid of a layer. PhotoFlexor has an easy-to-use interface, but it's really very powerful. It also offers the user the chance up front to edit images from other places as well as layers. And it has some fun things built in also. It has a tab-based interface, which is very clear, but here are the tons and tons of choices that you can use with PhotoFlexor. So if you notice about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way down, twirl, bulge, pinch, stretch, those are the things, if you have a Mac, that you notice are on in Photo Booth. When you make your big, ugly pictures, that's what you can do here. Right. If there's a place to, good point, John, if there's a place for students to store images, it's very easy for them to just put a link to where they've stored it. Okay, online word processors. So Adobe has a word processor built into Acrobat.com. It's called Buzzword, and it's part of their suite of online tools. You can upload files, create files, share files, and the users can also view revisions of the document. We used to use this one as educators all the time when we were writing grants, because it was very easy to go in and edit something, and then someone else can go, well, wait a minute, that's not the way we wanted it, and we'll just go back to a revision. So it was a place that was easy for us to work together. Since many schools have turned to Google Apps, both K-12 and higher ed, Google Docs, the word processor that's built into that, is available to every student. In Google Docs, you can upload a file from your computer, convert it into a Google Doc or not convert it into a Google Doc. So you can also use it almost as a file storage place. So you can upload a PDF and not turn it into a Google Doc, but of course then you can't edit it. So the idea in Google Docs is to either create a document in Google Docs or upload it and convert it so you can edit it. And of course, once it is a Google Doc, you can export it out as a Word document anyway. Every revision, you type a new period, it becomes a new revision of the document. And obviously, viewing and collaborating is very, very easy for students. Zoho is one part of the Zoho suite of tools, and it's a word processor with many of the same functions as Google Docs. They don't have a whole Zoho Writer for Education initiative, so if you're not a Google Apps for Education district, Zoho is another way to go. And of course, here's a post as it sits blog post. All right. So I made this with the Zoho Writer. So I made it in Zoho Writer and I uploaded it to Blogger. It was tough to make it work, but I did make it work. So that's just another thing that you can do. Let's talk about online cool stuff, in lack of a better word. This is a very handy website called Resizer. So have you ever gotten like a 10 gigabyte picture from someone who got this really new big camera that takes huge file pictures, and it takes forever to download and you can't do anything with it because it's so huge, and so on and so forth? Well, Resizer allows you to upload your massive file, and then it resizes the file size, not the physical size of the picture, but it samples it so that the smaller physical size of the photo, file size, doesn't degrade what the photo looks like. And then you download it, and then you can send it along to someone. So there's no reason to put up a 10 gigabyte file when it can be 27 kilobytes and still have the same quality. I like this one as a fun one. This is Acme Labelmaker. It's just sometimes when students are done with their content, because we know content is what's most important, they can use something like Acme Labelmaker to make a title for a slide, or bring it in as a title, as an image into a word processing document or whatever. They don't even know what label makers are, so you're going to have to first explain about those handheld label makers that we all had when we were younger. I'll speak for myself when I was younger. So Resizer also has a cartooning feature. You're presented with all types of items to add to the stage, can easily duplicate pages and move items, and then the frames are compiled into an online slideshow. Now, cartooning has really taken off as a way for students to show that they've learned something, whether it be a formative or a summative assessment. So they do their work in the traditional way, and they get their stuff in the traditional way, but one of the options for the final assessment or an assessment along the way would be for them to make a cartoon illustrating, or a cartoon or comic strip illustrating whatever they were supposed to be learning. Dumper.net, there are two fun photo sites that you can use to support instruction. Dumper offers unique backgrounds that students can use to create their avatar or an image for an online site they're using. You can upload images from Facebook, Picasa, Flickr, a web address, or your computer, and get it into Dumper. You see a lot of these around. If you notice in this one, I turned the mouse pad. All right, that's the photo. The rest of it was already done for me, and this might be a picture that I want to share out. You can make yourself into a Rubik's Cube and those kinds of things. Big Huge Labs is the other one. This has all types of projects, including motivational poster making, which is also fun for students to do, a movie poster creator, and a magazine cover maker. So I made the online tools magazine cover. Students could make an whatever you want the text to say from a photo. Since these are all created from scratch, there's no worry that there'd be any inappropriate choice of images within their site. So you're not picking images from Big Huge Labs, you're picking them from wherever the appropriate place is to pick them. So WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. So I just wanted to show you some online WYSIWYG web page creators. My favorite is Weebly, and they have a great 2-minute video on their site that explains how it works, and let's watch that together.
Welcome to Weebly, the easiest way to create a website for yourself, your business, or your organization. Weebly was named one of Time Magazine's 50 best websites of the year, and here's why. Our drag-and-drop website builder is the easiest you'll ever experience. There are absolutely no technical skills required. We host your website for free on our rock-solid cloud hosting infrastructure that powers millions of websites. When you do need help, we're here for you with step-by-step tutorials and a friendly support team answering your questions around the clock. In the next minute or two, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to create and publish a professional, powerful website using Weebly. To get started, first select between one of our hundreds of professional template choices. Add content to your site by dragging and dropping on new elements. Content elements like text and pictures are the building blocks of your website, and they can easily be rearranged on or between pages. We have a wide variety of content elements available, like photo galleries, slideshows, contact forms, maps, videos, and much more. Here we see our built-in photo editor that we call Image Perfect. It's a breeze to quickly crop, rotate, and add fancy effects to your images, all right from within Weebly. Once you're ready to publish your website, you can register your own domain like a .com or a .org, configure a domain you already own, or choose a free subdomain of Weebly.com. Within seconds, your website is live and ready for people to view. In less time than it takes to do a load of laundry, you'll have built an attractive, professional website to showcase to the world. Not to mention, you can update your website from around the world at any time on Weebly.com. Sign up now, and we promise you'll love it.
So that's Weebly, and Weebly does have an education version that gives you a Weebly account, and then gives you 40 students worth of accounts. So you invite your students, and they all have their own Weebly account underneath you. You don't have any control over theirs, but it's an easy way for you to get them Weebly accounts. So I only use Weebly now. I moved all my stuff away from traditional web page creators, and I use Weebly, and the reason I use it the most is I can update it from anywhere. So students can use it as a portfolio, which is a great thing to do. You can attach files, so if they had work files that they wanted to showcase, or if they've scanned something in, they can put it up as a JPEG or whatever. It's a great way to make a semester-long portfolio. For my graduate students in my Web 2.0 course, at the end of the semester, all their projects have to be put up in a Weebly. Sometimes it's a link, just a link that's put on Weebly to where the item lives somewhere else on the web, but it truly is a portfolio of all their work. Okay, let's talk about online podcast creators. So you know a podcast is an audio file that lives on the web, and a podcast is not a podcast unless it's aggregatable, and that means that someone can subscribe for no money to it. So most people nowadays use iTunes to find podcasts, and the podcast doesn't live on any of Apple's servers. It lives in wherever the person hosts their site, but they gave it a special thing called a feed address, which allows you to subscribe to it. And then whenever they add a new podcast, it shows up automatically in your iTunes. Well, there are some online podcast creators that can make this process easy. So iPatio allows you to use your telephone to call in and create the broadcast. They call it a flog, and an RSS feed, that special address, and embed code to put a little embedding of a little audio file is generated, so anyone can choose to listen or subscribe via iTunes. You can create the file on your computer and upload it as a podcast into iPatio. It hides the it allows you to create the special address. Again, you call it the feed address, but it makes it very easy to do so, and that's the thing that people use to subscribe in iTunes. So that's iPatio. There's a version of iPatio for the iPod Touch, the iPhone, and the iPad, and you can make a recording up to 60 minutes in length through iPatio. So that's very, and again, all free. Another option for online podcast creation and hosting is phonecasting.com. In addition to creating your own channel and phoning in or uploading your audio, it also has that RSS feed. All right, so if you don't have a place to put an audio file and burn the feed, you can use either iPatio or Phonecasting. They also host your podcasts. There's a categorized list of publicly accessible podcasts that you can listen to and subscribe to. If you notice the two orange buttons on the right-hand side, those are the ones you traditionally see. One says RSS. That stands for Really Simple Syndication. That's that special address. And the other one, which you don't often see, just says iTunes on it. And basically what that does is it automatically puts it right into your iTunes when you click on that. Again, it's using that same special address. It just takes out a couple of steps if you're using iTunes. This one comes in very handy. Whoops. These are online media converters. They all work the same way. You have a file in some format, or a student has a file in some format, that you upload to the site, and you convert it to another file format. This is sometimes necessary to open the file in another program, or for editing it with an editor. This comes into play when you're doing cross-platform stuff. The only one that isn't in there is one that I work with this weekend, is a ClarisWorks, a CWK file, AppleWorks file, ClarisWorks file. I had to take a ClarisWorks database and get it into something, and I just did it by cutting and pasting. So if you have any AppleWorks or ClarisWorks documents, I'll be glad to talk to you about that later. I spent quite a lot of time on that this weekend. But the online these online converters didn't help me in that case, but they pretty much have everything else. So Zamzar is one of those tools. With its simple interface, it's easy to convert files up to 1 GB in size. And with Zamzar, the converted file is emailed to you. So you upload it and you go away, and then in a little while, it comes to your as an email attachment, and it's all converted. They have images, documents, music, and video file formats. So from everything to everything. All right, you can just see the image formats that are there, the document formats that are there, and again, there's audio and video also. Online Convert is another online conversion site. One thing that it has that the other ones don't is an ebook converter. So you can convert to the format of whatever particular ebook you're using. All right, so if you have you can see if you want to convert it to an EPUB to read in iBooks, or convert it to a Mobi, which you can read on a Kindle, convert it to a PDF file or whatever, you just can upload it and that works. When you convert an image with Online Convert, you also get the chance to colorize it and enhance it at the same time. So if you wanted to turn it monochrome or gray, or you want it to look like 1980 or 1900, which would be sepia, or you can do a few things as you do the converting. So that's up to you, but it's just another feature. There's links to all of these on the support page. I probably forgot to say that. Okay, online survey makers. So SurveyMonkey is really the easiest one to use for gathering data, but it provides you with all types of question types to use, from multiple choice to short answers to multiple choices or whatever. But it also has a useful reporting tool for you as the creator. SurveyMonkey and any of the online survey sites always allow you to download the data in a CSV file, which you can then pull into Excel or Numbers, or put it into Access or any other kind of database and do your data manipulation there. Flisty is another tool that's super easy to use, but it's more for polls than it is for surveys. It costs you money to do surveys, but you can do one-question polls easily. And what's nice about Flisty is once you embed it, all right, so I made a Flisty and I posted it to Twitter. Take my Flisty poll in the next half hour. I needed some data to show. When it's embedded, you can also embed the results. So, and every time the web page is refreshed, the results are changed. So all that is automatic. So if you want to take a quick survey, a ticket to leave in the classroom, or something to make sure the students got it, or to reactivate prior knowledge, you can always use Flisty. Flisty requires no sign up to use at all. Okay, great survey tool, of course, it's in the Google Apps, is Google Forms. Google Forms sits on top of Google Spreadsheet. And you can do one of two things. You can create a Google form, which then populates a spreadsheet with column headings that are your questions, or you can create a spreadsheet with column headings ahead of time, and then say, bingo, create my form, and it will use the column headings to to make your form questions. All right. So here I usually do it from the Google Form side. So I can add a text, a paragraph text, multiple choice question, check boxes, choose from a list, a scale, or a grid. All right. And then you just open it and you get all the data thrown into a Google spreadsheet. So this one was about iPad resources, and you can see that those are my questions, URL, type of resource, your name and email address, and here's the information that the people gave me. Okay, Kim, bye. Oh, the pen casts are awesome. They're actually, it's on sale, the 8 gigabytes on sale for $149. I got that today. Sorry, I shouldn't be watching that. All right, online mind mapping tools. Each one of these online mind mapping tools works pretty much in the same way, and all are subscription services that allow limited numbers of maps to be saved, so for free. So this is Creately, and it's a Flash-based mind mapper, which means it won't work on the iPad, but it also has a desktop version available also. There are tons of libraries to set up and use. All right, so whether you're mind mapping or concept mapping, these tools can be used for those things. One very popular one is called Glyphy, and it has tons and tons of clip art as well as the ability to bring in your own images. And this is one that does Venn diagrams really, really well. A lot of them don't. When they do Venn diagrams, they're just two circles that kind of overlap each other, and you can't see through to the other circle. Glyphy, if you're into Venn diagrams, is one that you would want to look at. Lucidchart is primarily a flowchart or a network diagramming process cycle mapper. Might be good for students who need to step through a particular process, and it does allow real-time collaborative mapping, so more than one person can be working on the document at the same time. MindMeister is the simplest to use, but it works really well. You can export your files as a text outline, so once it's created in MindMeister, you can turn it into an outline, a PDF, a JPEG, or any other image type, a PNG or a GIF. MindMeister's history function allows you to see past versions of your mind map and revert to them if you need to do that. So if you have one that's set out and you're adding stuff in front of this, or the students are standing up and they're adding stuff to your mind map, once you're done and you've saved that out, you can revert back to the blank one for the next period. Online screencasting tools. Screencasting is recording the movement on your computer screen and your audio to create a movie. Screencasting software is often used to create tutorials and how-tos for students. There are no-cost screencasting tools to download to your computer, like Cam Studio and the Jing project, but there's also one that is web-based also, which makes it very handy because you don't have to download anything to your computer. And that's Screencast-O-Matic. It's a Java-based screencasting tool that requires no downloads, and it will allow you to automatically upload it, and they will host it. It works well with Mac and Windows machines. It helps to have a good internet connection and a fast computer, obviously, because you're working on their server, but you're doing a screencast of something that's sitting on your computer. What's nice is they use their own software to make instructional movies, so you can actually see the types of things you can do. So they're mentors. They used their screencasting software to create the screencast so you could learn how to use it. Screener is another popular online screencasting tool that's similar to Screencast-O-Matic also. But the most popular one is really Screencast-O-Matic. Okay, online citation makers. One of the handiest online tools for students to know about are the online citation makers. Even with Creative Commons licenses available, items have to include attribution. Students need to know the parts of a book, magazine, or website in order to put the things in the correct place in the citation tool, but it's a huge help and makes giving the author the credit that they're due very easy to do. David Warlick created Citation Machine many years ago, and now has created Son of Citation Machine. So you can see, you can do MLA citing there. EasyBib includes MLA citations for the major types of materials in the free part of their site. If you need APA or Chicago or Turabian, the service is a paid service. All right, so here's the components for the citing of a website. That's what you're seeing there. Now, MLA 7 says to leave out the URL. I strongly suggest that you don't have students do that, because if you ever have to go back and find what they've looked for, it's very, very handy to have the URL. But MLA 7 for some reason leaves out that, which I think was a huge mistake. BibMe has a pleasant interface and also allows the user to collect the URLs in a full bibliography right on their site. So as they're adding their citations, they can actually be creating the bibliography page right from them. An added feature of BibMe is an explanatory citation guide right on the site, which makes citations much more understandable for students and for adults too. Okay, online math notation sites. Whoops, going past. So this is the part that John asked me to do, and I'm hoping you learned something new here. Maybe I'm just speaking to the choir, and you can fill me in on some items to include here, but here we go. So the graphing calculator provides functionality similar to the handheld graphing calculators like the TI-83 and the TI-84 in a convenient web-based format. You can graph f of x functions, polar curves, and parametric equations. Sounds like I know what I'm talking about, right? Finds roots, zeros, maximums and minimums, and intersections. Creates tables of values, and you can do calculations with a textbook style of expression. And you can download the resulting graph as an image file. So if you're in a lab situation, or if your students have laptops with them, this is just a quick way for them to get to an online graphing calculator. So this site is an online LaTeX equation editor. And LaTeX, I probably am speaking to the choir, but I know my son is this massive LaTeX user, so he explained it to me. It's a language that allows the user to concentrate on their technical text rather than figuring out how to do the alternate symbols. Typesetting mathematics is a strong point of LaTeX. Actually, it's the reason people use LaTeX. You can run LaTeX locally on your computer, but this one happens to be an online LaTeX equation editor. So you can see the equation written in LaTeX language up above and the resulting formula down below. Google Docs has an equation editor right in its word processor. It does allow some simple LaTeX formulas, but it also includes all of these math symbols, so you can get to what you need to get to without using the LaTeX language if you want to. Zoho Writer has a LaTeX editor also. I love the Zoho suite of tools. FireMath is a Firefox plugin, and it supports MathML and MathML fonts. All right, so this is something that is a plugin that you can open right when you're in Firefox. MathJax is an open source JavaScript display engine that works in all current web browsers, even those on mobile devices. Here are some samples in LaTeX and MathML formats. You add a bit of code to your web page, and then it allows you to include LaTeX and MathML in your posts, and MathJax displays them beautifully on your web page. The instructions are very technical in nature, but the information is on their site. So this is for embedding those kinds of things right on your website. This one's not really an online tool, but it includes a lot of information on how to type, move, and display math-related text, formulas, and graphs. All right, this is Keeley's Math OL website. So wrapping up, there are many, many online tools and utilities. Many of them are very specific in nature and do one thing really well. Blackboard and all those course management systems do lots of things, except for tying grading to submitted assignments. They don't do any of the other things really, really well. It makes it harder to keep track of what each one does. So the creation of a list for students and explaining why you want them to use the tool for what purpose is a good idea. And also, many of them come and go. So it's also good to have 2 or 3 similar task sites either on the list or in your back pocket. Also, challenge your students to find sites that do other tasks well that you do in the classroom. They might find something that you had no idea you were even looking for. And share those with the class via a wiki or a blog or Twitter or some other social network. And as fun as cool as many of these sites are, don't let students lose track of the fact that their creations must include content that is correct. So cartooning is great, but if it doesn't indicate that they've
Kathy, I'm sorry.
mastered... Yep.
Kathy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you go back a slide? I think we have a couple of people who want to see the last slide and the last resource.
Yep, the Keeley's Math OL Keeley's Math OL website. You're welcome. I'm gonna give you the link to the website in 1 second, and they're all listed there. And I have a special math section that I created just for you. All right. And so again, as I was saying, the important thing is the students to remember that they need to, if they're going to use an online tool, they still have to remember to concentrate on the content. So there's the URL. Okay, the schrock.net online-tools.html. And on that page are links to everything that I talked about. Everything that I talked about and included, and there's a special math section for you. If you come up with something else for the math section, or already have something, please email me or just let me know, however you want to let me know, and I will add it to the page, because of course you're the math experts, not me. So I had to have my computer engineering son help me with that section. Okay, so I think we're ready for any questions that people have. You just want to type them in chat?
Yes, if you have any... Right, yes, if you have any questions right now, you can type...
And I'll repeat the questions, John, because I'm still having a recording, so. You're welcome, everybody. I hope you learned at least one new thing. No, you just don't do a Google search to locate free tools. You can try. Basically, you might want to, if you do want to do something like that, you might want to look up something like best online image editors. And then you'll get some article that someone wrote, the 5 best online image editors, but you have to make sure that you look at the date on that particular posting. So you want the most current list of the 5 best online image editors. Great, good, Fred. Right, but it would be to look at on a math blog, but remember, you want to look for tools that are almost math independent, if you can, because you want students to use general nature tools. Same way when you're looking for apps for the iPad, there's math apps that, help you learn math and practice math, but there's other apps that allow you to do the higher order thinking skills other than just remembering or and understanding, but allow you to create. And those will be pretty much content neutral applications. So those are the kinds of things you want to give to students, because you really want them to use a tool that they could actually use across content areas. Obviously, LaTeX they might use in science, and that's pretty much the only other place. But other than that, most of these all these tools can be used across the content areas. Yes, you will access, and I will give you the URL for it, and then I will have to Camtasia record it, I think, unless I can download it. But either way, yes, there will be an archive of this. I'll send the URL to John. I don't know if there's research. It would be so hard to say because no one is using specifically the same kinds of tools. There are definitely research on collaborative online tools such as the Google Docs, things that are very, very widespread where there's student collaboration going on and then increase in test scores or whatever. Basically, it's really just good teaching, change in pedagogy, standing on the side, allowing the students to do what they do. I think is pretty much what this Web 2.0 thing's all about. Oh yeah, EduCreations, whiteboard. I have a whole other, tons of other presentations just about iPad apps for teaching and for learning, iPads in the college classroom. Those are different kinds of presentations, though. You're welcome, George.
Okay, well, let's thank Kathy again through the chat, and then let me try to click next here and just remind you all that if you would like to support future webinars, please consider becoming a member of AMATYC and join our Facebook page at facebook.com/AMATYC. And recordings of the webinars can be found at bit.ly/AMATYC webinars, and it usually does take us about 1 to 2 weeks to produce and upload the webinars and archive them. And if you could please take a couple of minutes to evaluate us today, this will give us feedback to Kathy and to us for future webinars. And if you need an email confirmation of your participation today, just please fill in the optional section at the end of the evaluation. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great afternoon. I think that Kathy would be more than willing to stay an extra minute if you happen to have an additional question.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
The evaluation is at bit.ly. I'll type it down here first for you. bit.ly. That's a URL shortener. .AMATYC100. Nope, no handouts. Just recorded recording and links to everything I talked about.
If you would like a link to the website that Kathy talked about today, I will send it out in a follow-up email to this webinar.
Judy, once you go to that schrockguide.net site, when you go to the one for the online tools, down the left-hand side, you'll see a whole bunch of other links. Some of them have presentations recorded with them, some of them do not, but they all are pretty self-explanatory with links, and they're pretty well organized. So you could find all kinds of iPad stuff there. You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to stop recording, but I'll stay right here.